Here with National Greco-Roman Coach Matt Lindland here in our Colorado Springs headquarters. Matt, a lot of different things going on. New season, right? But this is kind of a different season for the first time since 1996 when you were competing. You were on the mat during that time. We have 10 weight classes. How come this is such a good thing for international wrestling?
Well, I think it's a great thing for us and for international wrestling, the sport as a whole. It gets more athletes involved in the sport. I know it's tough when we cut it back down to 6 right during the games year, but right now you get more guys into your pool, into your athlete pool, and you can create some more champions out of there. You can have some world medalists along the way. You can get some world champions along the way. I just think it's a great thing to get more athletes involved in our program. And then we'll shuffle it out when we cut us back to 6 weights.
So depth is something that'll be helpful to countries when they go from 8 to 10. And you know, depth has always been kind of a challenge for our Greco program, at least recently. How's our depth stack up for the ability to locate and train world contender in all 10 weights?
Well, I think we're getting deeper for sure. That's been a process that we've been working on since I got here. We've been trying to get more guys into our program and into the Greco pool. That's constantly a struggle. A lot of athletes, especially in our country, do the folk style system, and so it's a much easier transition over to freestyle. It looks the same, it feels the same. They're both grabbing legs. There's a lot of different skill sets, but we saw, you know, how those skill sets in Greco-Roman can beat a world champion, beat an Olympic champion just this last weekend with Kuhn's win over Schneider. Understanding how to use those Greco skills, you know, does help your folk style. But you know, my philosophy is use your Greco skills to train Greco and wrestle Greco. But certainly we are trying to build our program, getting more depth in it, and it's coming along. And 10 weight classes certainly helps.
So talk a little bit about some of the individual athletes who might be moving around and taking advantage of more weight classes. Are there people that you perceive might end up in some of the new classes that we, you know, I mean, it's certainly early before our open and all, but you know of any guys that are committing to some new weight just to help their career?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certain guys. I mean, the guy that's sticking out is Raymond Perkins. Going to go to the 72 kilo weight class. He's no longer 67. He doesn't feel like he's quite ready for 77, although he's going to have to grow into that weight class. He's working on it. He's not there yet, so I can see him at 72. Ryan Mango, 63 kilo. I think he's poised to probably be the guy on the team at that weight class. It's a new weight. You know, there's nobody there. He's not quite, you know, big enough for the 67 yet. He doesn't have the height. We certainly got the muscle mass. I would foresee him ending up going up rather than going down to 60 and cutting down. But I mean, right there's a couple guys. But we're going to see. You know, the opens are coming up in April. It's not too far out. We're going to see where everybody kind of finds their way, and there might even be some adjustments after that. After that, we got our trials in June, and so we'll kind of see where everybody shakes out. But certainly there's going to be some guys that are going to try to go to those weights in between the Olympic weights.
So, you know, obviously World Championships will be 10 weights, but at some point our team is going to have to start whittling towards the 6 Olympic weights. As a coach, what do you tell the guys about how to time that, or what's the best strategy for, you know, pursuing their current goals, but also having an opportunity to be an Olympian?
Well, I think that's really individualized. You know, I spoke about Raymond. I think he knows he's going to have to go up to 77, but he's got 2 years to do it, and I think he'd like to try to get a world medal in between there and help the team out as well, because we're strong at 77. We got some depth there. He knows he's going to have to go up and challenge and fit into that depth chart when we go to 6 weight classes. But right now, I mean, his immediate goals are to win a world medal this year, and you know, hopefully next year as well in 19. But move up. But I think there's some guys that, you know, need to move up now and start growing into that weight, putting the muscle on, and just saying, you know what, I'm not big enough yet, but I'm going to have to go up and start making that adjustment. And so we're talking to each athlete individually, and it's really their plan. We're just supporting it, and you know, and we'll encourage either way, but it ultimately has to be their decision. We can't force anybody into any weight class if they don't feel like they're quite ready. There's some guys that I would really like to tell them which weight class they need to be in. Like Jesse Thilke, for example. I think he needs to start moving up now instead of trying to hit that 63 in between weight class. And that's another guy. I think we'll be at 63, but we'll see. He's got some competitions coming up. You know, we're heading overseas. We got tours going on here coming up right away. We got guys leaving tomorrow, and then the week after that, we got guys going to international events. And I think they'll get an idea where they feel. You know, they feel strong at that weight. Do they feel like they need to put weight on? Do they got to go back down? I think with 10 weight, especially this first year, really the guys are going to have to feel out and see where they're going to perform the best.
So you just got back from Boise. We had a training camp with the Serbians and then I wrestled a dual meet. What's your assessment of the Americans' effort at both the match and the training?
Well, I think we can do better across the board. We talked about that a little bit. We can do better in a lot of areas. One is just embracing what we got going on, and we're so fortunate to have Ivanov back in the mix, helping us out. I mean, he ran a first-class camp, top to bottom, and the event he put on was a beautiful event. We filled an arena with over 1,000 people to watch the American versus the Serbian duel. And my assessment of the duel was, we're still a little hesitant. We're not going out there and throwing things at the wall and seeing if we can make things work. We've been really strategizing on having an individual plan for each athlete, so we can not only just assess them on where they're going, how they're improving, but they can get to their positions where they can score. If they're playing up here on the head and then they're digging for an underhook, then they're back to a 2-on-1. They're kind of all over right now. They know their strengths, and they've got to identify what they want to go with. And just because it's not working the first 30 seconds doesn't mean we change our plan. If it doesn't work in the first minute, we don't change our plan. We just stick with our plan, and eventually we're going to get to our positions. And if we're into our positions where we can score, we got to hit our offense and hit our attacks. And I don't think we did a good enough job of forcing our position, getting into our best positions where we can score, and then ultimately when we did get into those positions, we didn't take offense, we didn't make risks. It's a sport of risks. You gotta step in there. You gotta commit. We call it the danger zone when you step in underneath somebody's hips, and it's dangerous because you can score on him, but it's also dangerous because you're a vulnerable position as well. So you got to execute first. You got to force your position. You can't go off of. You can't wait till somebody gets a nice underhook on you and then try to score out of those positions. You got to get to the more dominant positions, and I think that's where we're lacking right now.
So we got people wrestling very soon. You mentioned Denmark, Cuba, Bulgaria. As a national coach, what do you want to see from our athletes in those winter tours?
I simply want to see them, execute their plan and wrestle up to their abilities and give themselves a chance to win. And if they're not making offensive attempts, they're not giving themselves a chance to win. And I want to see them go out there and just compete up to their abilities. I mean, wins and losses right now at this time of year, nobody's really keeping score. We're keeping score what happens at the World Championships, and this is preparation for the World Championships. So I want them to go out and open up. In the tournaments, I want them to take away from the camp opportunities when they have time to train with the European athletes. I want them to put themselves in those positions multiple times. If they're weak somewhere, get in that position and start to make those adjustments and figure out where you can improve, where you can execute your offense. So I just want these guys to be more riskful and get out there and try things right now.
So also this upcoming next week, the Armed Forces Championships. Obviously in Greco-Roman, the Armed Forces provides a really good group of athletes, not only make national teams, but also provide great depth in our program. Just your thoughts of, this year's Armed Forces, again, new weight classes, and clearly you're going to have some athletes there that can make an impact on our international program.
Well, again, I think the depth thing is really big. We're going to spread some guys out. We're going to have more guys getting medals, more champions, more opportunities to see those guys rise to the top at each one of those weight classes. We're very fortunate that we have a strong Armed Forces program within Greco-Roman. I mean, the Marines are making some huge strides. Of course, the Army WCAP program has always been really strong, but they're going to start getting challenged this year by the Marine program. Army, Air Force, and Navy are still need to raise their level, and next year it sounds like, especially Air Force, is going to have a strong world-class athlete program. We've got Mossing in there, we got Mueller in that program. So, they're going to have a little more time on the mat where they're able to focus just on the wrestling. So we're looking forward to strengthening those other two programs. But certainly the Army and the Marines programs are very strong. They keep bringing in, new athletes into their program, and they're growing. They're improving. They're getting their depth going. Everything that we talked about with our national program, they're doing it in the Armed Forces programs as well. So we're very happy to see that happening.
So the other thing, trials format. I mean, people talk about Final X for freestyle, and Greco went a different way this time. I know you've done the best 2 out of 3 series completion for your team selection. This year, you're going a little bit later, and you're opening it up quite a bit. Talk about the decision for the World Team Trials in Tulsa, and what you hope to see in regards to the quantity and quality of the athletes that are going to try out this year.
Well, timing-wise, with the World Championships late in October this year, we felt like we'd like to select our team a little later. Into June was our time frame anyways to do the selection. And I know freestyle in the women's program, we're coming up with something different. Pretty much a formula we used back in 2015,
right.
Before the Vegas Worlds. We used the 2 out of 3 top 2 athletes. We selected them early in the year, just like freestyle's doing this year. But for us this year, we've been talking a lot about depth of the Armed Forces program, depth of our program, and we're still struggling. We do not have the depth that the freestyle program has. And with the format going on in freestyle, they're going to be down to top 2 athletes early May. So that will give any of those athletes an opportunity to take 5 weeks to prepare. We're going to create training opportunities for any of those athletes. Any of them that are interested need to contact us and let us know how we can help them prepare for the Greco Trials, because we'd like to see them show up and participate as long as they're qualified. And top 7 in the freestyle trials, or the freestyle opens, will get them qualified for our World Team Trials. So we're hoping we see a lot more guys switch over. I know that we tried that in 2014 when I came on that year, but it was a very short window. They only had 2 weeks of preparation, and we ended up getting a couple guys over, and one of them stuck, and one of them retired. But we did get a couple guys to make that transition, but we really feel confident this year with 5 weeks that we can get a lot of these world-class athletes to come over and give Greco-Roman a try, and hopefully they'll stick around if they feel like they have more of an aptitude for Greco, or it's just a good fit for them. And maybe they're in a weight class that's got Jordan Burroughs in it, and they don't feel like they can beat him, or Kyle Snyder. There's somebody there that has already won Olympic titles, world titles, and is not going anywhere in the future. Maybe there's a chance to come over to Greco-Roman and see where you fit in, and not only have an opportunity to get on that world team, but at least make a national team and get some support so we can continue to work with them.
And traditionally, a lot of our best Greco guys were good freestylers. I know you were a university national freestyle champion, right? You got other guys. Matt Gaffari was one of the guys that could place in the senior freestyle, and he had a guy named Bruce Baumgartner in his weight, and he went to Greco and he won Olympic medals and world medals. Do you see some of those guys out there that maybe now, especially with the 10 weights for the regular season and everything, that we may see some more people from the college and the freestyle ranks coming out because we're giving them a chance?
Well, that's my hope, that they see that there is an opportunity. Pretty much your season ends in middle of May if you're a freestyler right now and you're not in the top 2, you're not in the Final X series. And Gary, we've seen a lot of guys make that transition. I mean, you talked about Matt Gaffari, but even after him, Bruce was still around when Rulon was wrestling. Rulon and I wrestled in college together, and we both won multiple freestyle national titles. I also won a Pan American gold in freestyle, and made that transition just because I enjoyed Greco-Roman wrestling more. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the art of it more. A lot of these guys we're seeing, they got beat up knees. They have a lot of injuries because they're twisting their ankles up, their knees up. And, we've seen guys like, not Adam, but Sam Stoll, who's, in a folk style systems, tore his knee up a couple times. I mean, this is a perfect candidate for a Greco-Roman wrestler. He doesn't get his knees twisted and cranked on down there. So, but he has a lot of power, a lot of upper body strength and a lot of leg strength. He just doesn't want to get his knees torqued on. So I think there's a lot of different reasons why people would come over, but it's a great opportunity. We want to make sure that we give every one of these athletes that chance and that opportunity to come over. So we really opened up our procedures and gave them 5 weeks to prepare. So I'm excited to see what's going to shake out, who's going to show up and step up and take that challenge. I think even the freestyle coaches would love to see these guys just get more matches, more experience, especially working with the upper body. Maybe that's an area where some of their top guys that just are short of making the team are weak, and if they make those adjustments, I mean, I saw Adam using his underhooks this weekend against Kyle Snyder, really controlled the position. That's stuff that we can help guys with if they understand Greco-Roman a little better, have a little deeper understanding and depth in that style of wrestling.
Should be a fun year, huh, Matt, with all these things going on, huh?
I think so. I think it's going to be a very fun year, and we're getting ready to head out over to a lot of tours right now. I got guys leaving tomorrow for Cuba. Next week I'm taking another group of athletes to Denmark for the Thor Master Tournament, as well as a training camp. And then we had some trouble with visas for military athletes, so we rebooked them, and they're going to go over to the Petrov Tournament, Nikola Petrov in Bulgaria. So we have a lot of opportunities for athletes to get overseas, get international competition and training experience this early winter. So.
Sounds great, Coach. I appreciate your time and look forward to what's going to shake out in the next few months.
All right, thank you.
Take care.